So here, for instance, you have 3 to the power of 1 x squared to the power of 3 divided by 3. As I said, the 3 has a 1 and the x has a 1. So now you multiply the exponent inside the you multiply the exponent into the exponent. When you have an exponent outside the brackets, you have to multiply this exponent and all the exponents inside the bracket. So that becomes 3 cubed x to the 6 divided by 3 squared x squared. Now this will be in 27 x to the 6 divided by 3 squared is 9 x squared, which gives me 27 divided by 9 is 3, and x to the 6 divided by x squared is x to the 4. So that's the approach that you have to have with this kind of questions, Ragad. Can I give you 2 minutes to finish number 2? Only 2 minutes though. The second one here, remember there's a 1 here and the 2 has a 1 on top. So you multiply the exponent outside into the exponents inside the brackets. So what you're gonna get 4 squared x to the power 6 divided by 2 cubed x to the power of 6, which equals 4 squared is 16 x to the 6 divided by 2 cubed is 8 x to the 6. Now 16 divided by 8 is 2. X divided by x to the 6 divided by x to the 6. When you divide something by itself, you remember, always gives you 1. Or they just cancel each other out, because x to the power of 6 times divided by x to the power of 6 is 1. So you don't have to write x to the 0. Yes, you minus the exponents and you're supposed to get x to the 0. But as I said, anything to the power of 0 always gives you 1. And so this would be 2 times 1, which gives you 2. So it's better to just go 16 divided by 8, which is 2. And x to the 6 divided by x to the 6, they cancel each other out, and we don't have x anymore. Does that make sense? Here what we have this has a 1 on top, the 3 has a 1 on top. So remember that. That's a common mistake that students make. They just go 2x to the power of 12, and they ignore the 2 that the 1 exponent on top of 2. So therefore you have to multiply the 3 into the 1 here as well. So you're going to get 2 cubed x to the 12 times 3 squared x to the 6, which equals 8 x to the 12 times 3 squared is 9 x to the 6, which gives you 8 times 9, which is 72, x to the 18. And that's your final answer. Okay, so I noticed most of you made mistakes on these. I'm going to give you one more, and then we'll move on to the next thing after that, which is negative exponents. So that's 8 to the power of 1, and that's 3 to the power of 1. Always, when you're dealing with exponents and you have an exponent outside of the brackets, make sure you put a 1 on top of the 8, put a 1 on top of the 3. Now 2 times 1 here is 2, so that's going to give you 8 squared. And 5 times 2 is 10. That's x to the 10 times 2 times 1 is 2, so that becomes 3 squared. And 2 times 4 is 8, so that's x to the 8. Now 8 squared is 64, x to the 10 times 3 squared, which is 9, x to the 8. Now I could start multiplying these. 9 times 64, that's 576. X to the 18. And I think both of you got it right. One of the other rules that I want you to remember is negative exponents. Okay, so if you have x to the power of negative a, that becomes 1 over x to the a. The reason we don't like negative exponents, so when you have a negative exponent, all we need to do instead of keeping it as x to the negative a, we just go 1 over, and that allows me to make the x to the power of positive a. Also, if you have 1 over x to the negative a, like that, then you're allowed to bring the x to the top, and then the a becomes positive. And then one more rule, which if I have, it's gonna write that right here. If I have x over y to the power of negative a, I could flip all of this. So I go y over x, and that will make it all to the power of positive a. So this becomes a times 1 here and a times 1 there. So that becomes y to the a over x to the a. Does that make sense? So again, if I have negative exponents in this case here, according to the rules that I gave you at the beginning, all I need to do, this is over 1. So I go 1 over 3 instead of 3 to the negative 2 over 1. And that would make the exponent positive. And then I have 1 over 9. Here, all I need to do to make the exponent positive, flip this. So instead of 5 over 3, you go 3 over 5 squared. And remember, this has a 1 on top, this has a 1 on top, so this becomes 3 squared and 5 squared because it distributed the exponent into here and into there. And that will give me 9 over 25. Here, 6 to the power of negative 2 is on the bottom, so you bring it to the top, and then you could make the exponent positive. So it's 6 squared over 1. You don't have to write over 1 when it's 1 on the bottom. And that will give you 36. Does that make sense, Faiz? Okay. Now let's go back here and do these questions. So 5 to the power of negative 3. According to the rules that I gave you, that just becomes 1 over 5 cubed. And 5 cubed is 125, so that becomes 1 over 125. Equals. This you flip it, so it becomes 2 over 1. And remember I said with fraction, when it's over 1, don't write that 1 on the bottom. You shouldn't write the 1 on the bottom anymore. Like if you're in grade 9, 2 over 1, it means 2 divided by 1. 2 over 1, it just means 2 divided by 1. 2 divided by 1 is 2. So why write the 1 underneath? Okay. Negative 1 becomes positive 1. And if the exponent is positive 1, then you just write it as 2. Here you flip all of this. So this becomes 3 over 2. All to the positive 2, which gives me 3 squared and 2 squared, basically. Which is 9 over 4. Here, we're doing the same thing, except there's a little bit of an operation that you have to perform. So 2 to the power of negative 3, that's 1 over 2 cubed. Minus 4 to the power of negative 1, that's 1 over 4 to the power of 1. And we're not going to write the 1, which is 1 over 8 minus 1/4. The common denominator here is 8. 8 divided by 8 is 1. So you multiply the top by 1 here and you get 1. And then minus 8 divided by 4 is 2. So you multiply the top by 2 here. And that's 2. And the final answer would be negative 1 over 8. Okay. And I noticed, one person got it right. Okay. Now, the last one, anything to the power of 0, I said it's 1. It doesn't matter what the number is, as long as the exponent is 0, that becomes 1. Plus 2 to the negative 2, that's just going to become 2 squared on the bottom, which gives me 1 plus 1/4. That's over 1. And the common denominator here is 4. 4 divided by 1 is 4, so I multiply the top by 4. Plus 4 divided by 4 is 1, so I multiply the top by 1 and just gives me 1. And therefore, the final answer is 5/4. And that's that for these. Okay. Now that's all we're gonna do today. And when I see you next time, we're gonna continue a little bit with the exponents, just a few more questions. And then we'll continue to the next chapter after that. It's a different chapter altogether. All right. I will see you guys on Monday next week.